Shegwanase. Ehunde. Eduboja. Si we do not for so Ghana me and Tapo. Me come Nana Chami.
Dodo.
More when there. As there were friends some swell. Walk on Amanda Mehu. Na no kwasa me there. Say ye finfri mantomu na nanom na himma fuye. Ada wa ye no. I'm a central region. Yada nchi yade simenu meka. Meka wajun kakrebi. Oba ne zinzin na Gold Coast. Oya saman na nanom no wadu wo moja aside the born of 1844 central region. Obreyin nam onyi baby mfa. Obreyin ko si breyin onenam onyi baby mfa. Olubo pray ebi no wabeye ya mahia central region. Biso sabra ma kwesi ato na otena hon. Matadi chopra we see wa Ghana central region. No ban zenzen obumankuma or the pagan or sun central region. Nana ahor na nan kwado bisa nana motan ahor asama by Ghana the showon wada ahuru twado central region. Ye wura kwa me nkruma won pede wati nizin kwa me nkruma nye pede yetini kwa me nkruma won pede wati nizin Ghana all by Ghana ni dua wo shopon central region. Nana nanom yaya mo dan bio nanom Nananum ma himafu wakana nan ma himfri hu empaya wa bo ma central region oyehu yasha central region ase wo hye kemem kebi amwam ase monka ejaka central region. Professor Fifi Atamas mpe basa okwakor no weyin central region no wakwebien weyin central region. Professor Malam mpema ho asab me nkobio na wo friend wo heyala ho wenyim wenyim wasi ye de hye bokọ na nan bom paman mo ba ye president central region na central region kuti no ye region dabi afi okwa wo hwe vice president bi wa na baba ye papa eminsa atanodo central region na fi ye dada asa. Yes, ye did not check. It does not check. I feel NDC for obey one running mate. Na ye mubinum, ye gwine badan and none the one pie. And I'm more bumpy and coupente. Yamisha Mate. My yard. What the one night is femala, one mobesi besi. Baba central region ni de akrachifi wodo na papa no to hon na president no onye bibiala no kwese owa akukuduru no da kwanchan onye mirika owa akukuduru ne hu ehu emi mushure ndem oye ni nyina oyehu ne nkofuluko nkofuluba nkofuluko nkobele okay vice ananum yankamu nhesumade nna mahima wotena cho yefe first na nanum wo kwa wonye mahima anfu nko ya ma asam na maka ni be nna man wa aswal we yoba ha papa we be central region when ye be we yoba na be obaya ye wo kura ene ye wo kura na okura kan wo fa na okura ene ye wo ba na oba yo be ya tama gba na asen anto family o si fe ma de wo so tama ya de gba no impe ina ya ko nyame na adumala o ya prof oyi na ɛna asɛm biara yi no ho na registrar baby wɔfa akyekyere no hɔ na wɔfa isan central region nan wa yɛ bi o na yɛde ya no gua no brade kakra kakyerɛ ɔdɛ ho ayɛ bi ndase ya moze na yɛwura ma ɔntaasi egye maama na asɛm nye dɛ ɔsɔfo na ɔkɔ transfer na asɔre panyin de otim ɔnkɔ beebi ala nti ɔnye ne nua ɔbaa baba ne wura ne mate ɔnye ne baba ɔnye ne yɛ biribi ala nananom yɛka bɛkɔsɛm a ndzɛmma a mo ayɛ gya central region aka adze koro pɛ ɛna ɔyɛ yimbi aka adze koro pɛ adze aka nye dɛ central region nananom mo bɛyi the first female vice president na nana abɛkɔ 70 na wɔtwerɛ asam na ndama mo ayɛ fiti aka na bedo mo ayɛ yɛyɛ besa nuala nana diga johnson mi awoka ho asɛm bia yɛbɛka wɔ ahemfie ma tɔn melen jam kokoro no yɛ asɛm gyanyan wotane idu ahemfie wuti bɛpem san yɛwura ma ama ɔde no bɛhyɛ mo nsa ɔde professor bɛhyɛ mo nsa nana mo na mo kasa ma ndzama wo so bibi wiasa chanche romanfo ebiabe ketekete nche won so kana nana mo so kana nhwan na wona ba eyo ofenyi da wonwanyan ompa wugya da akom digyem enti yɛbɛyɛ abɔkɔ asɛm no nyima no ɔwɔ ma papa nano na lakwan ɔnam do bɔpue ha no so ɔwɔ ano yɛwura maama ɔwɔ ano saba makwan a na ato nsi ahyia no ma ɔde na asɛm ato gua kwan de medza ɔdem antofɔbel ɔpesa kakeku sikamire aye bi da ofo aye bafo akwamura John sankofani efatente fablan wotu hu America wotu me kwa wo ba pa wo ho abo pa no pa yo wo bia oyoduma chedze John kana fu ya yehu amanze nkankan kodwo para me yakase kakra mura Ghana ina yeyiwa nana president atenase adesi domini wa ama mo kwan da muntu nsi ohye na bo wa amane mura kasa na wo kasa ayede o mo nsem man
Thank you very much. Your Royal Highness, or therefore Amakwa Boedu, the 8th President of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, Osajifo Kwame Akonu, the 10th Vice President of the Central Region House of Chiefs, Your Royal Highnesses, members of the Central Region House of Chiefs, our beautiful, revered Queen Mothers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my running mates, Professor Jane Nano Pokwajimai, and all the distinguished members of NDC gathered here. We launched our campaign for 2024 last Saturday in Tamale. Today is the first public event in which myself and Nana Jane are participating in. We're ready to hit the ground with the campaign, and it is only appropriate that before we start to visit the palaces of Your Royal Highnesses, we come here to pay our respects to the Central Region House of Chiefs which is the home region of my running mate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. I'm therefore deeply honored to come before you today to introduce a very remarkable individual who has not only made significant contributions to our beloved country, Ghana, but who will also, God willing, play a leading role in putting this country back on the track of progress and prosperity. We all know the misfortune of poor governance that has happened to our dear country over the last almost 8 years. Ghana is at a crossroads. Our nation has been driven to the edge of a precipice. Being accepted as a member of the Royal House of Ogua, of this historic city, I feel very much at home coming to Cape Coast this morning. It is with great pride that I present to you Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman. My running mate for the upcoming 2024 elections. Nananom, your daughter Nana Jane hails from this very region, and Commander to be precise. The Central Region is a place known for its rich history, its culture, and its commitment to education. Her inspirational journey and blazing achievements are a testament to the values and excellence that the Central Region embodies. I'm not just presenting to you your own daughter, but as you are elders say, as a papa wofia oye. To wait, it is a blessing to have at home not just anything but a good thing and a thing of value. Nana Jane is cultured, courteous, scholarly, humble, compassionate, and sensitive to the needs of all people. She is full of wisdom, she's like an open book, and her integrity is 100% intact. She opened the door for women by paving the way for women in academia by becoming the first woman vice-chancellor of a public university, the University of Cape Coast. And her foundation has opened the door today for many other women to do the same, walk in her track. Her contribution to the University of Cape Coast has made it rise to one of the best universities in the world. Today, many more women have risen to those heights because Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman was the first to lead the way, the first to show that it can be done, and the first to do it. Please permit me to take us down memory lane to describe the gem of a person that I am on behalf of the NDC presenting to you today when Nana worked with me in government. But before then, us in NDC have never ever left Central Region out when we have been in government. I wouldn't say we made Central Region heaven, but we left significant additions to the infrastructure of this region. In the 8 years of Professor Mills and my administration, we built the Commander Sugar Factory that has been recklessly abandoned under this administration. And I can assure Nananom and our father from Central Commander that when we come, we shall do everything in our power to operationalize the Commander Sugar Factory so that it can provide employment for the youth of this great region. We built the Elmina Fish Processing Plant. We rebuilt the Elmina Castle Bridge. We built the Cape Coast Stadium. We built the Kotokraba Market. We established the Esuasia Water Project that today is providing water to hundreds of communities. We connected several hundreds of communities to the national electricity grid. We built new secondary schools and e-blocks in various parts of the region. We removed many schools from under trees, and we also commissioned numerous road projects in this region. Nananom, you would have noted, rather sadly, that the sound moral values in leadership have been in short supply these last 8 years. Professor Nana Jane is a leader who possesses high moral values. She is incorruptible, and all through her service to Ghana has remained committed and remained patriotic. She comes with wisdom, tact, passion, integrity, and decades of experience to the vice presidential office. The NDC is a party that has development as an integral part of its visionary outlook, and Nana Jane has distinguished herself as an achiever in her own right. As my Minister of Education, Professor Opoku Agyeman demonstrated unparalleled dedication to improving Ghana's educational landscape. With a pragmatic approach devoid of propaganda, she led initiatives that have transformed our educational system and provided opportunities for countless Ghanaian youth. And this is how she did it. Under her leadership of the Ministry of Education, we saw the construction of over 2,000 school projects across the country. And these included classroom blocks, it included teachers' accommodation facilities, it included providing children with school desks and tables. This effort significantly reduced the schools under trees phenomenon and provided a conducive learning environment for our children in basic schools. She was the one who, in line with our 19th Constitution, introduced the progressively, and mark my words, the progressively free senior high school policy, which benefited thousands of poor and vulnerable children. Our rollout model of the progressively free senior high school policy was such that we targeted first-day students in the first year of implementation, with boarders who were next in line to benefit from the policy. Unfortunately, we lost the 2016 election and could not continue with this rollout. And I believe that if we had rolled it out the way Nana Jane started it, we would have avoided all the implementational pitfalls that we are seeing in free SHS today, like the double track system and all that. It was under her leadership that the construction of 124 community-day senior high schools started, with more than 73 of those model E-blocks completed before we left office, significantly increasing access to secondary education for students in underserved areas. Unfortunately, many of those school blocks have been abandoned today and have been overrun by weeds. And I can assure you, when we come, we're going to continue and finish them so that we can provide more access. If the rest of those schools had been completed in the 8 years of the current administration, our children, parents, and teachers would not have had to endure the pain of an imposed double-track system from which we have still not recovered. Remember, a part of our vision for educational infrastructure expansion was not only to increase educational assets for our children, but also for the employment of thousands of teachers who are still waiting to be posted till this day. Professor Opoku Agyeman abolished the shift system in Ghana. It was under her tenure that the shift system, where children used to go to school in the morning and afternoon, was abolished. Every child started to go to school at the same time in the morning. She also abolished the quota system at the colleges of education, resulting in a substantial increase in enrollments from 9,000 to 15,400. Thus creating more opportunities for aspiring teachers. Understanding the pivotal role of teachers in shaping the future of our nation, Nana ensured the automatic posting of teachers without the hurdles of licensure exams. She provided thousands of tables and chairs to basic schools and distributed laptops to teachers to enhance the teaching and learning experience of our children. Through her efforts, Ghana achieved some of its best performances in the Basic Education Certificate Exam and Senior Secondary Certificate Exam. Ghana was celebrated among her peers as being a destination of educational excellence. And being a disciplined person herself, she ensured discipline in the sector, and teacher absenteeism was reduced from 27% to 7%. Professor Nana's commitment to higher education was evident in her efforts to complete the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho and initiate the work on the University of Environment and Sustainable Development in the Eastern region. She also superintended the upgrade of our polytechnics into the technical universities that we have today. She upgraded facilities in all the 38 colleges of education, ensuring that our teacher training institutions were well equipped to produce the next generation of educators. This is a woman who thinks about the future and takes active steps to put the required structures in place. Nananum, my running mate, Professor Nana Jinopokwa-Jiman's legacy is one of unquestionable dedication, excellence, and a deep commitment to the advancement of our nation. Her achievements are not just numbers of projects, they represent lives that have been transformed, opportunities that have been created, and a brighter future for countless Ghanaian youth. Indeed, her achievements extend beyond these tangible milestones. Her dedication to service, her passion for education, and her stoic, unapologetic commitment to the development of our nation makes her an exemplary leader and a worthy running mate for me. Her vision aligns with our collective aspirations for a prosperous Ghana where every citizen has the opportunity to thrive. Imagine what this illustrious daughter of our land can and will do as Vice President of this great nation of ours. She will pay special attention to women's affairs and make our partners more empowered to support us and our families. Indeed, she is the prime mover of our new policy to reintroduce the National Women's Bank to empower women and provide them with the credit that they need. We stand at the cusp of a new era. I'm confident that with Nana by my side, we'll continue to build on these foundations and create an even more prosperous Ghana. Her vision, her expertise, compassion make her the partner in this journey towards progress and development. The distraction caused our country over the last almost 8 years required the best people with proven track records of achievement and accomplishments to fix. And there's no doubt about it, Ghana needs a reset. And it needs a reset urgently. There's so much work to do. And Nana and I are ready for the task. I am confident that with her experience, intellect, and passion for education and social justice, she will bring valuable insights and perspectives to our efforts to build the Ghana we want together. Her leadership will be instrumental in shaping policies that will drive sustainable development and create opportunities for all.
For him, I need a class. I did about quite hard dream or maybe power outages. Again and again and again, who said, "My penny or born more than say the bear." The Omana to need to do so. Over to me, a bread. Who say a new Jumakatwa, an wedding. Idea say I'm sharing and son a hard development and saying to Furia or Yanya a Kubi Hornamo, a company plywood company. Or more how can see a pa Mobamin or Moka a light off. And no credit so some years of Metia Prahobi. Who said one day it made doom in the baby 4 or 5 times. We will have a day or two crying in like it. My company now is frustrated, all because of power shortage. Mr. Omampeni say, Onyamendo, the insurance you want to say, Yamidi Jina Bia, power outage. On can be me and tea. Medamasi.
You, Medasi, our incoming vice president. I'm a master Miyokomo. I'm there in the corporate world. Yana gender equality no shada anyejuma. Inti de bebiano eyembesi afiyesu. Mezi nka minya eba buahen. Ni yentu myenyemu unzimu. Because obanda mana de ekasa ameze me wansi yazen kakra me no kitecha me hwo bakachro. Obayeda oba suppress so e kamisho onye. Into mobile nebia oba attract attention amen. Yes, sir. Eba, Momo will free him besi afo guadi. O hiya na pa. O hiya medase.
Okay. Nana president, president and vice. O hiya pa free man to myself for hiya. If you educate a woman, you educate a whole nation. Yes, you will wire into president said that's it. There, a free man to Bessia, don't or sign there. Say any Bessia, any Yaza, in a Bibiara, Okodo. Into me, though I say, now, this ray, new day. Yea, in the central region, tourism. Eha no see nando ena yana manfo so ya afarofo Yaruka president of the National House of Regional House of Chiefs no reka about development then kano ena na nanom yakun yadija asase na no ho keka ho na we see araze oya about development yepu no da ho nyantami. We talking about tourism. Mark Mado Aze Nide into a pure that way. You be add value to it there. Into traffic Ghana, ewa efa baby ara traffic in Kankara, Yeno Kwan and Munkakan as on Yeno, or by a possible day. Was the back one is share one day. Into Yaze Yen Hamiyara, and now so Yen what by a baby transport on the sea. Na especially using hen local canoes amahana farofo se wokopum mpo ne wenya na ma na nche dam wa aboa ho dam so minyim de obogus tourism bida ho na asipi se oye na obeyi a nche woza aka ho amahin ye ma ho na akwa aba
Alma bohine dasi osabelima
President Mandasi, Your Excellency, Moanse Bien, Mozikan Edawasi, Nana, this is not your first time. Second time, say, we will be Papa be woman in Chantana. Prove to everybody a member of the Constitution Review Committee. I had the privilege of traveling throughout the whole country. And what shocked me was that the number of unfinished projects in the country. We keep building building new projects and leave them when the time is over. But then the unfinished projects still remain. And some have been standing there for 5, 6, 10 years, what are we going to do about them? Because it sort of drain on our economy and our... So, Your Excellency, over to you.
Your Excellency, me President Orakasan Oka bibi de lithium aba finfiniman to maha ma orbama ihe so yan asitinem ako esor na maya tsenye de parliamentary ratification ama enyamariye akechiri ema metina hei menye nana okese nyamransa hen nkusukum na nana abura oye dapenye mu ya ye krata ya diako parliament there one more modina na oye ratification process no one hwema hen ni sentrinye den ni sentrinye de oye Ghana the Minerals and Mining Act 703 bibi wom de odumri bia will freeze all economic activities within the mining area. Also, were them environmental regulation and minerals mining and compensation law. Also, the same process of freezing economic activities, Now, as far back as December, I think 23rd December last year, now will be declared that active mining area in line with the mining and minerals and mining laws. Impacting there about 500 households. This declaration of the freezing of any activity, it has impacted on them with about 1,200 farmers. They blocked them from undertaking any economic activity. They are not farming. Now, poverty is getting worse and worse. All what they were made to believe was because of the governing laws. The company applied the governing regulations and declared this freezing of economic activities. Enti oye bibia ohaw ihe na nanom en sama waka na echiri no ibinye sebio ibinum se oye opposition in parliament na won pede project no oba amanfubu riefu enti ebesre de wo be ya wonye ntem wanye so a won kan pen na farmers no won san won ko hono won ka ye ho ko adwuma wonja hona asase won fama hon na wontum wonye hona adwuma na wonye bibia wo bezi na wanya ne dama. The current situation is not pleasant. Nti kakra na medibiso soda. I am there. You share two things in relation to the mine. Mama saying there. You share or some aspects of the agreement. The most important one is the aspects that favor the government or the country. Then we also have aspects that favor the community. Let me say, I'm a mining expert. I understand some of these things. This aspect there, the Community Development Fund, we are going to get $6 million every year. The Mfansama community, $6 million a year for 12 years. So we are expecting an injection of fund for our development, 72 million within the 12 years. Apart from that, most of us, ejuma today, contracts or a whole lot of jobs are going to be done now, obey impact on the communities. Your Excellency, this is just by the way. I believe, as I sit here, you slept at my hotel at Bogoso on about 3 occasions. Yes. I put up that hotel because I was at Golden Star, Bogoso. I'm only using this as an example that apart from the impact that is going to the direct and indirect impact, people are going to get monies. People, mining companies, they pay in dollars. The community, they are going to employ close to 1,200 direct employment. And indirect employment, we cannot count. So this project is very important for the people of Mfantsiman. And what I've also heard is that if these frustrations go on, there's a likelihood that the investors will withdraw. We don't want that to happen. So please, let's all see what best we can do to fast track the ratification process so that the people can come and start their job. Thank you.
Yo, Nana President Midasi, Mezano Asudana Mezema, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I have met on my Kasipa on the war 34 traditional areas. Woshuma Commander and Irazadum Yenya. Bisia Okuina yo Yanura Ebusani sending from Noboto Insa and meeting a hina was the American mother so Abem Timijina Commander Man Nye Nananoma Ayatsna if you maintain me a name Jinda Simo who send a Yasha Hoakasa Utufuya coupon after once I make a man to ma Alpazida Mayamia no Mubuya Minitia. Tis American Utumufuya coupon issue. Naza Mesrema Medicino Munia Pain or Sabarma Kwesi Ata Aka Na Zawake Chino Ye Kitchifi Ye share with Dema Ya Na Ye pushing more. That's it.
Two options. Either the man will answer first one and the beginning of April. Beginning of April, moving to. But therefore,
Your Excellency, I am the and I'm the two. I'm on your phone, Ghana on your phone. And Ramjina Asempraso our emancipation day. This idea I'm true. Me man and him no man your form about on say. Mesre a few way.
mesre amanyofo wudina nipanim na mo kasa ya ma ya kasa honte edi anti na meka say me soja ni ameda so she uniform be brigadier general makọ amama su bebre akọpatan tokwa ya mpesa die si Rwanda 1994 ebisi wo Ghana mesre mo milimsa nyankopɔ bɛhyiram bade yɛma yɛ kasa honte na yɛne yɛn nkɔla kasa ɛnkɔfa kasa ɛde ntɔkwa ɛne basabasa ɛbaba yɛma yɛ mu ɛde nkudimdie no nyankopɔn ɛde nkudimdie no bɛma mo na yɛmpɛ sɛ ɛno akyire no ntɔkwa bia ɛbaba mɛsrɛ ɛade srɛ deɛ kɛseɛ wɔyɛ mu bia kɔɔ baabi ne yɛhunu deɛ asi wɔ ɔmaa bi so a nokora ni Liberia mekɔ hɔ mprɛnsa Rwanda mekɔ hɔ Lebanon makɔ hɔ Cambodia mekɔ hɔ Congo so mekɔ hɔ minim deɛ si wɔ aman bi so ɛyɛ adesrɛdeɛ ɛnam de srɛ mo sɛ ɛma yɛkasa honte na ɛno sɛ yɛasɛm a ɛbɛka no ɛnyɛ asɛm a ɛde mpuntuo ɛbɛbɛ yɛman mu na nim sɛ nkonimdiɛ no Nyankopɔn de bɛhyɛ mo sa medam ato bebree
therefore medase. Okay, say Mr. Biani Obioma and Your Excellency.
You are not president, Madase. Aza Ohiam Titil, Mepede, Your Excellency Mahama, former president. Mobojopa, Senyame, Wadum Meba. Magistrate project adada homa wa bakon woje min montenase na munjima obobua oman ni na yo oman ni sika wonyi na wonzi hu dwuma mahen na mwara so moza mowa akechi na la mo fanka ho mamo maye mo angote mo na munja ma ebia aban so why you could be a when threat maybe for continuity ni na Ghana sika ma odewe mobile feel manto na me ahe adom and this mama minority leader yadamase me mna nchamo be yoka ho bi na ye hu na ha yadamase
okwa manka dase. Your Excellency Ibraso yeti we are no.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Majesty. I'll answer some of the questions and I'll leave the one to do with gender equality and women to Nana to address. Let me thank Your Highness for the Bible reference, Matthew 5:5. When I go, I'll go and read it and get the divine inspiration from it. But your substantive question was on the cocoa industry and Galamsey. There are many reasons for the reduction in cocoa output. One is climate change. Our climate is changing, and our forest cover is reducing. An amendment was passed to the Forestry Act to allow for mining companies to go into forest reserves. As I'm speaking, nearly 37, according to Forestry Commission, 37 forest reserves have been encroached into. And so it's changing our weather pattern. And so if you notice, in central region, in western region, before you didn't used to feel the effects of the Harmattan the way you feel it now. And so until we preserve those forest reserves, a time will come when we'll not be able to grow cocoa because cocoa likes moisture. And so anytime there's a very dry harmattan, it stresses the cocoa trees. So the next harvest season, the cocoa production goes down. So that's the first cause. The second cause is that you need to make the farm precious to the farmer. And the only way you can make the farmer value his farm is the income that it brings him. In the first 4 years of this government, they refused to increase cocoa producer price. The practice of previous governments, from Rawlings to Kufuor to Mills to my time, is that every year we look at the forex currency to cedi, and then we adjust the price so that the farmers get more. For the first 4 years of this government, there was no increase in the producer price. It was only in subsequent years that they increased the price. But instead of the farmers getting 70% of the international market price, in many cases they were getting less than 50% of the price. Once the farm is not producing enough income to justify the labor that the farmer has to put in, he will not look after the farm. In addition, we used to give the farmers incentives. Instead of asking them to go and buy the fertilizer and the inputs themselves, government used to provide the inputs to them. When this new government came, they came with a new policy that the farmers should buy the inputs. And so if the farmer cannot afford to buy the fertilizer and the inputs, he definitely would not apply it to his farm. And that's why we've seen an increase in swelling shoots, in black pod disease, because many of them do not have the inputs to spray the farm against these diseases. Then the third one is the attraction of galamsey. When gold is found under the ground, Minerals Commission gives the company the right to go in. And they can go and mine, but they are supposed to compensate the farmer. I think that the cocoa and the tree cover is more important than the gold under the ground. That gold will mine it, it will finish. But then what is the effect on our forests, on the livelihoods of our people, our cocoa farms and others? And that's why I've said that when we come, we're going to stop all mining in forest reserves. Because some of those trees existed when our ancestors were here. Some of those trees are 700 years old in those forest reserves. And our ancestors didn't cut them. They left it for us. And we are going to cut them. And what are we going to leave for our children? Savannah, desertification, destroyed environment. And so we must preserve the forest. Yes, it's attractive to get as much gold as we can, but that is like cutting your nose to spite your face. And so we need to take a look at the balance between mining and making money from mining, but also preserving our environment for our children and our children yet unborn. This links with something Your Highness, the President of the House of Chiefs said, Central Regional House of Chiefs, when we were in there, was about the authority of chiefs. Osaberima was a member of the Constitutional Review Committee. One of the things the 1992 Constitution did was not only to ban chiefs from active politics, but also in the various subsidiary legislations and all that, almost all authority has been taken away from chiefs. And so the chiefs hardly play any role in terms of governance at the traditional area. And yet they are the heads of the traditional area. All that power has been given to the district assemblies. So one would have thought that, okay, even if you take the power to the assemblies, make sure that chiefs are represented on those assemblies so that they can also contribute to the administration and governance of the area. But that has also not been done. And so one of the things we're thinking is that in the constitutional review, we must give chiefs some authority in terms of sanitation and cleanliness in the traditional areas. Give them some authority in respect of environmental protection in their traditional areas. Because the agencies that government has that are supposed to enforce those laws are unable to do so. Or even if they do so, they are influenced by bribes. People go and bribe them. And because they don't really have any attachment to the traditional area, because if I'm a police officer or a government officer, I don't necessarily come from the traditional area. I was just posted there to come and serve and go. So, as he said, Osofo will come and go, but Ebusuapenyi will remain. The traditional rulers are Ebusuapenyi. The government officers, the police officers, and everybody will come and go, but it's the chiefs who will remain with their people in the traditional area. So the time has come, and I'm going to talk about the constitutional review when we activate it again, to see how we can amend the constitution so that we give chiefs some authority within their rural areas for issues like sanitation, issues like environmental protection, and so on and so forth. So that is something that will be expatiated more in our manifesto when we launch it. And the good news is we're coming here to come and launch the NDC manifesto. And then, with regards to stable power, Nananom also talked about the power of the president. That will come in the constitutional review. Our blessed Vice President, Professor Tamils, instituted the Constitutional Review Commission, of which Nana was a member. And they did extensive work. They went around the whole country and they presented their report. Their report was accepted, a white paper was issued, and Professor Mills appointed the Constitutional Review Implementation Committee to begin the implementation of the Constitutional Review. Unfortunately, somebody went to court and restrained the process from going forward. The Supreme Court took a long time before it gave its ruling, and its ruling cleared the way for us to continue. But if you remember, the Supreme Court gave its ruling before the end of 2015, and the next year, 2016, was an election year. And so we didn't have enough time. Some of the things required referenda and other things to be able to amend. And so the decision my cabinet took was that let's leave it so that the next government will continue the process. Unfortunately, the next government came and they have not taken any interest in the constitutional review process. The only part they were interested in was political parties' participation in district assembly elections. That's all. And when that didn't happen, they just abandoned the rest. But I want to assure you that we're going to take up the constitutional review process when we come into office and push it to its logical conclusion, so that some of the issues that will make the constitution a living document and make it work for our people long into the future. We've used this constitution for more than 30 years. This is the time for us to look at it again. As Nana said, it gives a lot of power to the president. I'm told that the president makes thousands of appointments. And I think that we can amend the constitution to put checks and balances. The constitution was okay, and I think that we've seen presidents who have come and gone. President Rawlings came, President Kufuor came, Atta Mills came, I came. And it is probably only under this administration that, you know, some aspects of the constitution have been pushed to their limit, because the constitution gives you powers to make appointment. The president has appointed in every sector, including the courts, packed the courts. Out of almost 180-something high court judges, only about 18 of them were appointed by previous administrations. If you take the appeals court, out of almost 50-something judges, only about 8 remain who were appointed by Rawlings, Kufuor, myself, and Atta Mills. And so it has now opened our eyes to the fact that no, maybe a time will come when a president will come who will take advantage of that constitution. And so we must put the checks and balances so that any president who comes would know where his limits are in terms of doing these things. For instance, the Supreme Court has no cap. But the Constitutional Review Committee recommended 15 as the cap for the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, we didn't pass it. A president can come, for instance, recently they recommended that we should push it up to 20. And so I agree with Nana that we should look at the Constitution and review it so that we clearly define the limits where the president cannot go beyond. Stable power is important. If you remember, in my time, we had the energy crisis. It came as a result of us not being able to put in enough energy over the years. Ghana's demand for energy is growing by between 10 and 12% a year. And so every government must come and put something in. Every government must come and expand the power so that we're able to keep up. Unfortunately, after the Abuadze thermal plant was built, no significant addition was done to our power. And yet every year, 10 to 12% increase. So by the time I came into office, the demand had far outstripped supply. And so we had power outages. I spent 3 years of hard work resolving that issue. We brought in extra generation. We brought in the car power plant. We brought in the Ameri plant. Indeed, it was the fastest mobilization of power in the history of Ghana. We mobilized 500 megawatts within 18 months. And that solved the power problem. But there was also the financial part. We didn't have money to pay the deficits that ECG was facing in terms of paying for the independent power producers, because the power producers are different from ECG. They produce the power and supply to ECG, and ECG must collect the revenue to pay them for the power. But there was always a shortfall. And so we introduced the Energy Sector Levy Act, which was supposed to bring additional money, and part of it was supposed to go to compensate the IPPs. What did this government do? They collateralized the ESLA. So as I speak today, ESLA is in debt. And so the revenue that it should bring to help to cushion the payments to the independent power producers is not available. And so the simple reason why we're having power outages today is that government cannot purchase fuel to run the plants, because government is supposed to supply the IPPs with the fuel, and they are supposed to provide the electricity. Unfortunately, another aspect is that we have a lot of gas. I brought 2 new oil fields on stream with more gas, and as I speak, our gas supply is able to satisfy about 70–75% of our demand. The other 25%, we have to buy crude oil to come and fire, or diesel to fire, and we all know that's very expensive. And so we were looking to expand gas supply. Talo has more gas fields that they want to bring on. ENI Sankofa has more gas fields they want to bring on. Because we're able to cover 100% of our need with gas, then it will reduce how much we are spending on fuel. Unfortunately, there was a case that arose between an oil company and ENI. It went to court, and in the courts they moved a contempt motion against ENI. So ENI's expatriate staff all had to flee to Côte d'Ivoire, and they've been there since. So the money that they should have invested here to expand our gas production, they went and invested it in Côte d'Ivoire. And Côte d'Ivoire has made a major discovery of oil and gas during this period. And so our hope is that when we come back, fortunately the Court of Arbitration has ruled on the matter, and it has set aside the unitization that government of Ghana was trying to impose. And so it has asked government of Ghana and that company to go back and negotiate. But this is how many years? 4 years too late. The president should have intervened and resolved this matter before it came this far. And so we hope that they're able to negotiate. If they are not, it is going to attract my attention from day one when I come to resolve that matter, so that we can bring extra gas on stream and move all our plants onto gas.